questions. Are you going to lead me in?
Hi, good afternoon and welcome back to Talking Your Walk. And I've got a wonderful lady with me now, Debbie Owen. Now, many of you may know Debbie because she runs international wellness retreats over the world and has been instrumental in, bringing holistic therapies to people because she owns many salons, and she's also a professional dancer, which, to be honest with you, I'm going to be really interested in this journey because it seems there's a lot of facets to this lady. So I'm really excited to be speaking to her. So without further ado, we're just going to pass straight over to Debbie. So Debbie, thanks very much for joining me. And can I just ask, where were you born and brought up?
Hello, June. Nice to talk to you this afternoon. Shropshire born and bred at actually Shifnal Cottage Hospital. And I was brought up in by some woods in a place called Rockwoodine Wood. So it was very, very nice as a child being brought up in sort of part of Telford, but very much in a rural area.
Oh, that sounds lovely. So as a child, what kind of child were you? Because I know you later went on to become a professional dancer, but were you interested in dance and that's music and movement as a child?
Yes, well, my mum was a professional dancer, and she worked with one of her last jobs before she married Dad when he came out of doing his national service, was on tour with Des O'Connor. So I think I was her little project, if you like. So by 3 and 4 I was training, so training in ballet, in all the classical, in ballet, tap, jazz, national dancing, and so by the time I was about 7 or 8, I wasn't physically a typical dancer. I wasn't skinny, because in them days it was very, you had to have a certain length of neck, and it was very much like that. So my dancing teacher suggested I go for vocal lessons. So at 7 or 8, I was started to be trained by an opera singer. So I was doing the 2. At 10, I started to learn. Then the singing teacher said you needed to learn music. So then I learned music and learned to play the piano and clarinet and a little bit of violin and things like that. So I was always in the creative arts. But I have to say, and I loved it. It was my life. I didn't know any different. I didn't know how to play. I didn't fit in on the playground. I only fitted in with school. Was something that I had to do. I couldn't wait till 3:15 to leave to go to play. And playing for me was dancing and singing and learning, music. So that was the sort of child. So I was always different, because in them days, it's very popular now, but I mean, I'm talking in the early 70s here, mid 70s. In Telford, there was only, when I went to do my, at 14, there was only one pupil that wanted to do GCSE music, and that was me. I was different. I had the mickey taken out of me at school. The boys would stand in the queue and stand like they were in a choir and sing "Little Donkey." I had the mickey taken out of me left, right, and Chelsea. Clarinet was hidden in the hedge before school, and I'd have to hide it because I couldn't take it into school. So I was, I hurdled a lot in order to do what I love doing.
Wow. I mean, and so, I mean, that's quite horrendous when you're going through that sort of puberty years as well, and then finding these guys being as horrible as what they were. And I know, it's a bit mickey taking, and some people can ignore that. But how did you deal with it? Did you sort of ignore it and or laugh at it, or did it hurt you, or how did you deal with that sort of?
I've learned a lot about me in the last sort of 10-15 years. No, I was a very sensitive child, obviously, because if you are involved with music, creativity, dance, movement, you are very open. So as I look back now, so I learned to act. That's what I learned. I learned to act. I learned to be a certain way in a certain situation or with certain sort of people. So, and as I said, now looking back, that's what's helped me in my career, really. And although that doesn't change you, you're still that sensitive person. You know, you're still that, but you just learn ways to understand it. And obviously, as a child, the self-esteem, although I was capable, it's taken me to 48 really to realise how skilled I was. I never saw it because my self-esteem was so low because of the result of the being put down because of this. You know, when I always thought my dance teacher sent me for singing because I was too fat to be a dancer. That was my psychology then. But you see, actually, no, I got a voice. When I went to stage school in London, I was at college with Elizabeth Hurley, you know, that went out with Hugh Grant, and that was my era. And Wendy Peters, who's still a great friend of mine, who was Scylla off Corrie. Another peer was Stephen Meagher, who was a fabulous West End choreographer. In fact, he got his OBE a couple of months ago. I came home to Oaken Gates. Not that there's anything like that, sounds derogatory, but I came home because I didn't think I was good enough. The fact that I'd attended the college, the fact that I'd done the course, I wasn't good enough. You know, when people used to say, oh, she's bonny, isn't she? You know, June, being Scottish, she's bonny. That's something people say. That meant I was fat.
Wow.
So there was no self-esteem, June, whatsoever. So no, all those digs, but then it was a hard industry. So I would compete vocally at the Wolfram Hall and the Civic Hall in Wolverhampton. So as a youngster at 9, I won the under 12s, and then you had to go into the under 15s. So at 10, I'd go into the under 15s. Then I'd win that. And then I'd have to go into the ladies soprano section. And I come third. And the comments I get would be, you know, I'd come home with the medal and at home and it would be, I've come third in the ladies. You know, I'd feel like the need to say in the ladies section, who come first? So that was my life, you know. And then obviously if I went to do something at school and was asked to do something at school, you'd have that taken from underneath you by the pupils. So yeah, that's it. So I don't want to be maudlin, but no, you asked, and yeah, it was hard. It was hard. But how I dealt with it was I learned to act. I learned to put a coat on, zip myself up, and go back out there. You know. And
then you've left school. You went to college in London. Now that would have been a shock coming from, you know, rural Telford, Shropshire, into big city London.
Yeah, absolutely. At 18, and I was only just 18. Wow. And again, looking back, the people that tended to, I didn't realise Telford was so rural. I didn't realise we were rural until I went down there. So again, no preparation. You know, just straight down there. And actually the people that did get on tended to be the people that, well, from my observation, that were used to cities.
Yeah.
You know, or big families, or you know, I mean, I was from a mum, dad, me, my brother, not from a big family at all. So, yeah, again, now at my age, looking back, I think, gosh, I can't imagine sending a child of mine, 17, just 18, down to London, you know, in that sort of environment. But, you know, pat on the back for me, I did it. But obviously I didn't realise at the time what I was achieving.
And so when you went to London, you went to school and, you know, you became a professional dancer. I mean, that must have been fabulous, really, you know, to be dancing and doing what you enjoyed. So, you know, how long did you stay in London for?
It was 3 years. It was a 3-year course.
And then you did your course and then come straight back to Shropshire?
As I said, unworthiness. I wasn't good enough to be those people. You know, I got a lot of weight issues, although I wasn't either anorexic or bulimic, but I've always thought that I was big. But that's because I perhaps was at 10, and I think that stayed with me. Again, this is me at my age looking back and going into a lot of therapy and sort of understanding. But no, I came back. I was in a relationship, and I came back because that was my comfort. Now I look back and I'm thinking, why did I need a relationship? I got all this, but that was my cotton wool, and that cotton wool at the time felt great. Having when you're sort of out there exposed and you're dancing every day, singing every day was fantastic. Being with like-minded people, goodness me, would I give anything to be in that environment now? I dip in and out of it nowadays. I dip in and out of it, and the little projects that I do, I feel like I've come home. You know, it's a little bit different doing work around here because everybody has got other careers. You know, they maybe do some a little bit of acting or singing, and they've got other careers. So it's a little bit different than spending time with people that are all consumed. But yes, I came back, and then obviously the relationship didn't continue, and then I'm constantly drawn back into shows, drawn back into bands. I was in a 11-piece, 12-piece, including me, soul band, and we toured Germany and did a lot of the big venues and the Sergeant's Messes and that. So, and then I did I went and did a maternity cover for a Meatloaf tribute band. So June, it's always been there. Then I had a baby, and then I went back to it and played Calamity Jane, and which Calamity Jane is often who I feel like quite often, but out of those calamities comes a wonderful sunrise.
I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, and that would have been such fun. And again, going around these different countries, like going out to Germany as well, change of culture, change of language, etc. Doing your shows, coming back. I mean, Meatloaf would have been a blast, I would imagine. So you come back, you've got this small baby. That's another big change in your life as well, is coping with the baby. Yeah. And so what did you do after, as the child was growing up? Were you a stay-at-home mum, or did you still dabble in dance and music?
Well, I think obviously there wasn't anything for there tends to be adult classes now, which is great, but at the time there was nothing for people in their sort of early mid-20s. When you've trained to the capacity that you've had, when you've got up and you've gone into a studio at 9 o'clock for 2 hours and whatever. So I started my own fitness group. So for me, and it was I did there was a studio, and I did dancercise, and also I bought a set of toning tables. Can you remember the toning tables years ago? Because I wanted movement to be something that everybody could access. So and that was great, and it was just at the right time. It was 92, 93, and I had lots of middle-aged, as I used to think they were old ladies, but now I'm middle-aged. They clearly weren't. But there were a lot of middle-aged, older ladies that came, and the benefits they got from these toning tables, mentally as well, their mental health. As I said, I was somebody that could reinvent, so I could market. So I would always see an idea, and the reason for me going into it was that, right, what can I do? That's brilliant. That's very current now. We'll do that, and it'll get these people moving, and nobody can say, oh, I can't run, or I can't do that because of me this, because of me that. and do you know what, the mental health of people were addicted to these. They were having to come 3-4 times a week. I was open from 7:30 in the morning till 11 at night.
Wow, a lot of time. Wow.
A lot of time.
Oof.
And it was brilliant.
I mean, it sounds as if it was a very productive period of your life. So what happened then? You then started to open holistic centres. How did that turn about? You know, what happened that brought that side into it?
Okay, so I've always been drawn to that side of things. I mean, the first time I had a hypnotherapy session, I was 10.
Wow.
I know, and that's all those years ago. So that would have been 1976. So I've always been, my great aunt was a medium, clairvoyant. So I've always been a little bit that way, and you know, just thought there was something beyond this. And obviously I'm doing this business, but I never see the surface. I always see the underneath. So I'm listening to the ladies' stories, and I met somebody that was into metaphysics, and she'd done a degree, and she got talking to me, and she said, all that you're talking about, Deb, is metaphysics. So then I just got into that side of most toning table places had a beauty salon attached. So I did train in beauty, but I was drawn more to the holistic side. So that's how the holistic side came. And then the big push for me, the first push, because we get pushed a few times or the curtains open a little bit and we just shut them and carry on as normal, was when I split up from the children's father, because I had another child and they were both very young, and it came from nowhere. And basically I got these 2 young children. One was 7 and one was 3, and a business. And he basically set up home with somebody else. She was pregnant. She was having a baby, but not one. She was having twins, a boy and a girl, which effectively in my psyche was, you know, how could this all be happening to me? So in order to get through that period of time, that's when I found my guru. And then out of that, I found my inner guru, I guess. And then slowly I trained in regression, access, you know, and different things.
Wow. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? A lot of people think that when something is traumatic, as that happens, you know, there's 2 ways you can go, isn't there? You can either sink or you can swim and flourish, really.
Yeah.
You flourished there because, you know, you've brought in all of these tools, access and regression and things like that. So then how did you get into doing the wellness retreats, you know? Because at what age were you then, you know, coming through there? You would have been maybe in your early 30s or something?
So the next big... So I worked through that, and obviously I'd still got much to learn. So the next big thing was my parents both got cancer. There was in 2 years, there was 6 lots of cancer, and getting over it and treating. And I was teaching Zumba, and I got a salon, I got the children, and looking after these 2 parents as well. I took my dad down to the Royal Marsden because he wasn't going to die, you know, very, very determined and all that. And then my father passed away, and I was left a donation along with some charities in the will. Now, it wasn't about the money. It was, who am I? Who was I to you? My brother and sister-in-law were flying high, and I didn't think I'd done any wrong, but maybe I'd done any wrong, or maybe I was wrong. Maybe my whole being was wrong. So again, I got drawn back into trying to find my way through things.
That's because they've disinherited you as such. They've gave you a donation, and the bulk of the estate's been left to your brother.
Honestly, the whole, I mean, we're talking a million here. We're not talking little bits. And I think it was reading the bit that, you know, that was the catalyst, reading that you were listed along with the RSPCC and the RSP, the Royal Society of Birds, and, you know, and my daughter Deborah. I mean, and obviously that was hard reading. So and I thought that everything was okay. I thought that I thought it was normal, and if anybody was a bit mad or a bit extrovert, it was me. You know, I was always the one that was being, oh well, it's Deborah, and oh, she's off doing this now, and oh this, and oh, she's highly strung. And so again, I sat in the wrongness of me, and the initial thing was with that was, who am I? And obviously I teach now. If I'm not my money, if I'm not my job, if I'm not, who are you? So that's what I teach now, to get people to that core of who they are. But it took me those scenarios to really shape me, because June, I've been used to reinventing myself. I've been used to acting. Yeah. So it was normal for me to, you know, zip myself up, put my face on and get out there. Well, this was real. This was, you know, this was heart-wrenching. This, you know, all those magical times, all those things, all those, what was all that about? You know, what did you think of me all these years? So anyway, one thing I always wanted to do was put on a musical. So the fighter in me thought, okay, I've got a penny to spin on. I'm going to buy the performing rights for Miss Saigon, because it had just been released from in London, available for youth theatre. I'm going to put Miss Saigon on. So everyone's going, where are you going to get the money from? How are you going to do it? I said, I don't know. I didn't go into the hows or the whys or whatever. It was just something I was going to do to remunerate my soul, if you like, to achieve this thing. And so what I did, I did. It was fantastic. It was at Open Gates Theatre. We had 600 in the audience. I think we did 3 performances. Got a lovely little group of children that have now gone off into West End. Some of them. One I'm really proud of in particular. I'm proud of them all, but you know, he's achieved quite a lot. And I've got one that's just graduated during lockdown. So it's been lovely watching their journeys. I gave up the salon. I gave up the shop. So it was at that point I had to do what made my heart sing. I had to. So then, as the shows have gone on, I've always loved to travel. Well, because I was living for my purpose and not for financial benefit. I mean, I just didn't know. There was no income, or if there was, I didn't know when, but I enjoyed, life was too short by then, because actually my relationship with money wasn't very good because of what had happened to me. So money was not in the equation. So the only thing I could do to make me sing happy was to follow what made me happy, what had been with me all my life, you know. So that's what I did. And, you know, you win some, you lose some, you find a way to do another one, and so on and so forth. But one of the things I loved was my holidays. I've always loved my holidays and travel. Something that, I mean, I would cry coming home on an aeroplane, and my parents and my ex-partner used to say to me, what are you crying for? And I go, I don't want to go home. And they go, but everybody has to go home. And I go, but I really don't want to go home. So I've always loved the energy you get from different countries and different people and cultures and smells and all that sort of thing. So I thought, right, I'm going to set up an affordable retreat business that takes ladies away from their normal environment, their life. I didn't want to make a profit from it. It was just, it was going to enhance me. It was going to take me away, and it would push me and make me use all the things that I'd learnt, and take that to other people. It would be a week, or it's gone on to 2 weeks now, but it would be a week where my energy of that resilience would then be passed over to people to say, you can do it, it is possible. Why are you looking into the whys and the wherefores? Just get that in your head, and you know. So that's how the retreat business started. So I decided to take everything that I'd learned, including the creative stuff. Chi ball is something that I teach, you know, the dancing, the Zumba, the meditation, all these things, and take them abroad.
Oh, fabulous. And as you say, you're doing that for 2 weeks now. I mean, it must have been heaven for you, because this is you on your holiday. But I mean, it's a busman's holiday as such, but that would have been so what kind of places did you go to? Where did you go with your retreat?
Well, when it started, I didn't know it was going to be as successful as it was. It was going to be called the 4 Elements Retreat, is what we call it. And I started off with a long weekend in Shropshire here, which was air. Mm-hmm. And it was lovely. It was June time, and you know, I, as well as doing the treatments and the yoga and everything, on the retreat, I got planned walks, and which was lovely, and that was so successful that was in the June. The January, I had 13 ladies come to Hereford to do the fireside retreat, which was beautiful because there was snow on the ground, and we did the whole ceremony of burning, the new year. It was done early January. It was lovely and beautiful. And I introduced crystals and other different things there, and readings, and the chi ball. So each time new things were added, and that was another long weekend. So before I'd been running the retreats for even a year, we went to Forteventura, which was a place called El Cotillo, which is very bohemian, blue waters, beautiful, very, very quiet area. I hired a Balinese retreat villa. It was beautiful. I mean, it was already set up with a massage table outside, and that was the first retreat abroad, and that was in El Cotillo. Since we've done India twice, Bali, we were due to go to Cambodia, but we had to cancel that due to the lockdown. Santorini, I find the Greek islands very mysterious. Santorini and Mykonos. And those have been really successful, because people that don't want to do long haul, it's only a few hours away, and it's just a week, and they can manage that away from the family. I try to make it so that there's no excuses, you know. Everybody can get some time away from what they need to do. So,
I mean, that's a wonderful initiative, and while you're out in these countries as well, such as India and Bali, and that, you'd have been learning what the local culture would have been, and you know, did you sort of look and explore, you know, if you were going out to Bali, did you explore some of the holistic disciplines that they used locally? Was that something that you did, or?
You know, June, time goes so fast when you're there. It really does, because we generally go, it's 10 days. When we went to Bali, it was 10 days. So you do 4 or 5 days. You usually have a day where there's a bit of jet lag, and then you have four days, what I call retreat time, which is on site. And then maybe a day that's booked for, well, for example, on India, we went on one of the great big river boats, you know, the houses, and oh, it was beautiful. So then we have a couple of, so I suppose in that, yes, that is doing what we do, like the locals do. We don't have a lot of time, having them done the retreat, doing the yoga and everything on site, to do things beyond there, where there may be a day where people have got the choice then to go into local therapies or shopping. And I have to say, mostly the ladies tend to go shopping. When can I go and spend my money? No, you know, they like to go into the markets. You know, we may have it, I mean, in India, it was India in November, we went to where, you know, where they, all the Chinese fishing nets. And so, yes, it's you tend to go and experience the different sort of, one day we did the temples, yeah, because obviously in India, there's a lot of different sorts of, you know, there's lots of different religions and that, so we go through to the different ones. Mm-hmm. Bali, yes, we did the water ceremony. There's, I mean, I know most of the healers are called Katut, but I have a friend, he's actually on my Facebook page, called Katut. So if anybody ever wants to get in touch with him, he's always very open to helping people. So he does, there's usually a flower ceremony that's done for us, and he does the water ceremony where you go under the waterfalls. So yes, we do different ceremonies there. And again, if you ever want to see pictures, just go on to Four Elements. It's magical. It really is magical.
So COVID must have been quite a blow, and that created another change because you can't do your retreats overseas or anywhere, actually.
No.
So what's your plans now? How are you coping through this? And, you know, obviously your retreats will come back once, you know, we can travel and be safe as well, obviously. So what's your plans for that? Have you thought about that much?
Well, we had 4 sold out retreats this year. Yes, it was a massive blow. Probably, you know, it was probably a pinnacle in the business, really, you know, because it was the first year I wasn't worrying that was full, or I got to do some more sales and marketing that one, because, you know, they'd sold themselves, really. Most retreats, I would say 2/3 were existing clientele, and every retreat would have 2 or 3 new people, or somebody would bring their sister-in-law or whatever. So it had started to function nicely. So yes, it was a blow. And I think initially, in fact, I think the first 2 weeks, because we weren't that far away from Cambodia, I was getting bombarded with stuff from some clients, and I couldn't give them answers, you know, because all the lines of the agents and the airlines were shut down. All I would get was an email through saying, you know, due to government restrictions, blah, 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 our phone lines have been until such times. So, you know, it's been, but I've appreciated that it's been difficult for them because everybody has their own agenda. I couldn't have dealt with this if I hadn't have done the healing modalities that I've done and trained in and experienced, because I've had to appreciate that they've all got their own individual fears, I guess. Yeah. And actually it's been quite an eye-opener for me, because it tends to have been the people that have been on retreats before that have obviously built up a relationship with me. They were the ones that I didn't have the hassle off or hassle, you know, the negativity off, because they know me heart to heart. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, Deb will sort it. Yeah. How? I don't know, but she'll sort it.
But that was the thing, wasn't it? In the very early days of this, there, you know, companies just shut down overnight. So, you know, you couldn't have got somebody to answer the phone anyway.
No, it was.
And at the moment, there's still some companies that don't have a phone service, so you're still
That's
not.
Right. Or they're saying, like, you know, we're still dealing with flights that were due to go out on the 30th of March. Yeah. We will get to you soon. So the idea is, going forward, obviously initially I've gone through all the stages, to the oh, I'm not doing this anymore. It's too much hassle, to it's fine. Just take 2020 and move it into 2021. So we will just run the we will just, Cambodia, and Bali and India will be next year, and possibly a Greek retreat as well, a short one in the sort of June time. So yeah, I think the thing is, it's that surrender thing, isn't it? When you just go, okay, there's nothing happening this year, it's next year.
I think, and as you say, you know, surrendering and you know, and then realizing that, you know, this is giving you a break to plan for even bigger and maybe more in 2021 as well. Yeah.
June, it's given me time to study more and learn more and read more and you know, connect with people. And
so if I was watching this and thought, right, I'm going to go on a retreat next year because this sounds really great, you know, how do people get in touch with you?
So basically Facebook and the company's called 4 Elements Retreats. That's it just started off as something little. I mean, this year would have been the year that I probably would have, I haven't even got a website. I filled these retreats just like this, you know.
But also through word of mouth, isn't it? Because you've built up this great reputation, haven't you, for your retreats?
I think many people want to do things, but they need to have a recommendation for this sort of thing, because at the end of the day, you're putting your money, your times, maybe a bucket list trip in somebody else's hands.
Yeah.
And so yes, that is it really, that people, it is recommendation. And sometimes it's great because people will just go, I'm coming, you know, you get that sort of thing. And then you get 50 question clients, you know, people that come. And then some people will feel safer if you look at the friends list, and then you put them in touch with other people that have come. Photographs say a lot, you know, that's real. There's hundreds of photographs on there. There's loads of, you know, positive comments. Everybody that's been on them, as you know, contact anybody that's been on them and ask them, you know. It's very it's not clinical, you know. It's very laid back, very easygoing, you know. If somebody doesn't want to do that, most people are encouraged to try and keep to the 4 days retreat, encouraged, because obviously those are the things that break the barriers, and you know, but if people were going to the waterfalls or the monkey forest and they didn't want to go, that's fine, stay by the pool, you know. Everybody wants to gain different things, but I usually find what is wanted to be gained is achieved in whichever way. Some are ladies that have lost their husbands, and they may have had quite a cared for life where the husband's looked after everything and they've never had to engage in anything, but they're missing their travel. But that's great because they may come on the retreat for that purpose, but then they make friends, and then they learn different things. They might like the Reiki, they might like access bars, they might gain something from the crystals, they may gain something from the culture of the country. So what people gain on a retreat is just massive. And also, I'm a big believer, and this is I'm an energy person, so I think when you take that step out of your normal environment, yes, fear can set in, but along with that, our other senses lift, don't our smells, our hearing, our sight, the colours, the you know, things that make you go goosey, you know, things that make you go all goosey, and all those feeling of love, feeling of joy by looking at something that looks pretty. Those are the things that we bypass in everyday life. And sometimes you need to do something like a retreat or get away completely to actually start to experience new things, those new things. Sight, senses, all heighten. They all heighten. And that's what I find people get the feel of in their gut when they're away, which then, you know, some people can have an experience there. I don't know, let's just say they lost their, or they didn't like the food because they like their own food, and but you know what, I can sense that in the bus home, because the transport home, they're thinking, oh, well, it was very nice, but I want to get home, and you know, I want to get back to me normal tea and me normal milk and whatever, because obviously in these different countries it's not like our good old British tea. But you know what, within 2 or 3 months they're messaging saying, what have you got available next year? Because they're remembering them senses and those feelings, and
they can trust you.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, they can trust you.
Yeah.
And they know, you know, that they're going to build up not only that relationship with yourself, Debbie, but they're also going to build up relationship with the fellow travellers. And you know, if someone, you know, is going on their own, that's a security blanket, isn't it? Knowing that they're going to be safe on that retreat, that they're going to get looked after, you know, okay, so the food might not be the same as it is at home, but at least they know that the people they're with are looking after them, and they're all there for the same aim, which is to enjoy it, to chill, to sort of just forget the everyday life and just relax into the moment.
And I think because I've had an adverse, I'm Mrs. Sensitive, and I've had that, you know, adverse childhood where I was on the peripheral, and obviously having the salons and dealing with people, and obviously encouraging them when they may have been having this burnout for that or that breakdown for that. I'm very aware of people, to my detriment in some cases, because I will always find the best in people, and sometimes, you know, I've had to learn that, you know, some people are out for different things, but that'll be part of my planning, where people sleep, the rooms where they sit, that even down to when I check people in on the plane, I will have a degree of, you know, discernment about all those sort of things. And that is becoming a larger degree of the business now, because you are dealing with people, and I'm wanting to bathe their souls, not crush them. So I'm having to look at all aspects.
And I think that's a really good retreat organiser, is that they're not just getting somebody to come up and book a seat and then it's potluck until you get to where you're going. You're given that forethought into who's going to gel with who's going to encourage each other. And I think that's marvellous. There's not many companies actually put that thought into anything before they do it, that's for sure.
Thank you. Well, do you know what, I've learned that if you don't do that, it can be catastrophic. There has to be some thought, you know. I mean, again, teething things. I've done quite a few now to know that is also, it's worth doing that, you know. And do you know the difference I've had in people? One lady came on my very first retreat, quite thorny, you know. She wanted the room with the mezzanine, and well, what's this and what's that, and you know, very, very, very prickly. And obviously we've got to know her, and we're actually best friends now, and she's actually a facilitator on my retreats. She's had 6 months in India. She was obviously on that brink of life change, and that was obviously why she was, well, A, felt the need to go to a retreat, and B, was a little bit prickly. And she'll laugh if she hears this. She'll know who I mean. And do you know what? She's such a support, and she's now trained in all sorts of things, crystal healing. She was not, you know, not holistic at all. And she had, as I said, she had 6 months in India, and she's trained over there, and now she comes and does the yoga.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely amazing. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Debbie. Thank you so much.
Thank you, June. It's been lovely. I feel like I've got to know you as well. It's been really nice. Oh. Been really nice.
So thank you very much. And when I put this up online, I'll put your contact details under it as well, so that if anybody watching this wants to, you know, experience the retreat, then they can get in contact with you direct for sure. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you.
We'll speak again soon, June. Thank you. Bye-bye.